Thank you. I am Regina Rowley. I am an author. I am a survivor of childhood domestic violence and sexual assault. I am a founder of a nonprofit, and I am priceless. As a survivor of childhood domestic violence and sexual assault, I struggled to find my worth in myself and worth in the community. But what I've been learning is the importance of the words, the messages that I share with myself, those thoughts and beliefs. Because my thoughts and beliefs directly impact my destiny. They impact the habits I create, and those habits directly impact the life I live. So as a survivor, what I did is I started to build self-confidence through self-defense training. And then I found yoga and meditation to guide me along the path of mindfulness so that I could start to connect my mind and my body again. And these were powerful tools, and they've served me well. But what I found in recent years when I was re-triggered is that the trauma was stored in my mind and my body in such a way that it was still poisoning me. So what I had to do was find a way to work through that trauma, through that trigger. And in doing that, I founded I Am Priceless. Because I went back to counseling, and I had that critical care period. But after that, when I no longer needed consistent therapy, where could I go? There wasn't a support system. In doing that and learning to heal forward, I learned how to take my experiences and move beyond my perceived limitations so that I could actively awaken to my possibilities. As I awaken to my possibilities and I choose to live my purpose, I inspire others to do the same. Each of us are priceless. And part of the nonprofit I Am Priceless, we endeavor to enlighten, equip, and empower each survivor with her own strength, with her knowledge and the tools that she needs to go forward and to live her life enriched. In doing that, when she learns how to move past those perceived limitations, then she truly can awaken to her possibilities. As a wife and a mother, my biggest goals in those earlier years was to figure out what was wrong with me so I could fulfill my roles and that I could do what I wanted to do for my family. Now, as a grandmother, my goals are even bigger, my dreams are even bigger, because I see how what I do will impact not just the next generation, my children's generation, but my grandchildren's generation. I suffered alone for decades because of social stigma, shame, because I didn't know that what I was dealing with was PTSD. And like so many others, I now know I'm not alone. We deal with life by getting up each day and putting one foot in front of another. We exist. We'll have some good days. And as you see here, this is some of the community we have begun to build through I Am Priceless. Beautiful souls. And I'm going to share a few stories from them here in just a little bit. But as we get through our day as survivors without healthy tools to cope with, we turn to socially acceptable tools. And for most people, this is the life they live. And they will have moments of happiness and joy, and they'll have a lot of days and nights of sorrow and pain and shame, regrets, and they don't understand what they're dealing with because it's not talked about. When I was re-triggered in recent years, I had no one to talk to. Even those in my immediate world did not understand, and they didn't know how to help me. And that's okay, because society didn't prepare them for that. But it's time to change society and to prepare society so that others who go through these breakthroughs and they hit these re-triggers, because they happen, They know how to empathize and to support so that we can let go of the binging on food, or on the opposite end, eating disorders. Coming home every night and drowning our sorrows and our pain in alcohol. Turning to drugs. And for some, it's the social activities. Anything that allows us to escape out of our own heads, even for a moment, is how we get through our lives. But I'm here to say that I Am Priceless provides other options that will allow us to move out of escape options and to live healthy lives, lives in which we are enlightened, equipped, and empowered to move forward with strength and to help the next generation, or at the very least, have a ripple of impact on the lives around us and let that ripple continue out into society. We do that with self-defense, because self-defense embodies a person with the ability to defend themselves physically as well as mentally. It was through self-defense training that I first began to find my voice, that I first began to break free from that past. And then with yoga and meditation, we have the tools to be able to center ourselves again when we are triggered. We can reground, and we can stand tall, and we can find a place to balance in the midst of it all, in spite of it all. And then being able to have a community of support that we were so beautifully shared with just a moment ago. He talked so much about community, and that is what I was lacking as a survivor. I live in a community. I have a community of family, but I didn't have a community that understood. And that's what I want to change. In my endeavors over the last several months, I've had the privilege of interacting and sharing these tools with several individuals, but a couple of young ladies were brave enough to share their story, a part of their healing journey, through me, with you today. The first one I'm going to share with you is from a young lady I will refer to as G. And G, if you're watching, and I know you are, thank you for allowing us to share your story. I Am Priceless has had a great impact on me because it gave me something I have been looking for a long time. I found acceptance for myself and my body. Yoga has helped me to heal in a way that involved both physical and mental self-evaluation. When I first stepped on a mat, compared to where I am now, I have much more self-love and self-acceptance. I have found inner peace that I had longed and searched for in external things. I found a sense of belonging. I now know that I matter and that I have just as much right to be here in this time, in this space, on this earth as anybody else. I found acceptance for my body, all of my body. I used to feel very self-conscious, and even though I had been through therapy and other help prior to meeting with Regina, I was able to find freedom through yoga. Yoga was like the icing on the cake. It was the last ingredient to my cake, and it made my life sweet and worth putting up a fight for love. Not love for the world, not love for others, love for myself. Previously, I would be able to tell you that I loved my mother, I loved my father, I loved my family, but I couldn't find it in me to say I loved myself. Instead of fighting for me, I fought against me. I punished myself over traumatic events that occurred in my childhood, like living with an alcoholic father who would come home and be violent toward my mother, and like being sexually assaulted at the age of 9 years old. I filled my heart with hate, not only for myself, but toward those in my world. and it all added up to a path of self-destruction. I used other people to fill my loneliness, and when that didn't work, because it was too painful, I moved to drugs. Through these transitions, I was very depressed, angry, suicidal. I did not want to live. Looking back, I cannot believe I made it through it all. And when I compare the girl in the mirror today to the girl I used to be, I realize how much chaos my soul was in. I didn't choose to make a change until I hit a crisis. And it was a crisis that I felt with every tear and every emotion within my being. I snapped. I was tired, exhausted from years of constantly being at war with myself. And I decided I was not going to fail this time. I would be successful at taking my own life. I was standing at the edge of my bed with a cord around my neck and the other end tied to my ceiling. The girl I faced in the mirror that day, she was broken. She was angry. She was a walking dead in my eyes, and it only made sense that I give her mind and her heart rest. But something inside me said, not yet. You cannot leave this way. You have more to you than the anger, than the pain and the shame. There is so much more to you than the embarrassment. You are not a mistake. This isn't who you are. So I took the cord from my ceiling and off of my neck and cried. I felt so low, so lost, and so confused. I was admitted to a local hospital, and that is where I decided I have to change me. I need to rewire and rework who I am. I started with small things like reading on ways to help myself. And then I would spend time thinking about what I had read. One day, I came across a website emphasizing the benefits of meditation. And from that night on, I would fall asleep with guided meditations. Sometimes, during the day, I would go in my room and lock the door and spend hours just listening to guided meditations. Even if my mind wouldn't let me focus and it would wander, I would listen. But when my mind wandered, it wandered to the pain of my past, of the traumatic experiences. I would ignore it. I didn't want to deal with it. It wasn't until I met Regina, another warrior like myself, guiding me, showing me how I could love myself, that I learned to fight for myself. I now have the tools to continue healing forward. I am priceless. You see, with every woman that we enlighten, equip, and empower, we are creating a ripple of transformation. These short few words are from Lydia. Thank you, Lydia. I Am Priceless has given me a chance to be surrounded by a group of women who support me as a survivor of sexual assault. When attending any event or meeting with the I Am Priceless group, I immediately feel welcomed, never judged or attacked. This is truly incredible, and I am so grateful for their acceptance, because safe spaces and situations are truly rare. Survivors of abuse who have grown into the maintenance phase of healing do not often have resources where they can still feel supported, where they can talk about their triggers and difficulties, or engage in non-judgmental, understanding social activities. If we are not actively involved in a crisis support group or therapy, we often feel lost and lonely. However, I Am Priceless provides us with a safe and stimulating outlet where we can express ourselves. We find community without anxiety or stress. I am so grateful for Regina's efforts to provide these communities for us and believe this needs to be a priority in every community for every survivor. As you can see, the world has given us a reason. The Me Too movement laid a great foundation to show the prevalence and the pervasiveness of sexual assault. We're not alone, but what we want and need are communities of support. Communities that will allow us to feel safe, secure, and supported in such a way that if we're triggered, it's okay, and someone will hold space for us. We do that with self-defense training, with yoga, with meditation, self-care retreats, and anybody in need can find those kind of tools wherever if they would look for them. But we don't know we need them until somebody explains that and shows it and opens that understanding to us. I have big dreams for big problems, and I can be the change that the world needs. Inspiration is a ripple, and inspiration doesn't have to come from giants. Inspiration, it can come from anywhere, from anyone. I hope to be a source of inspiration. I can do that because I am priceless. And you can too. Thank you.